Here with Brandon Marshall, we're going viral. So the Lakers off to a very hot start. And unlikely star Alex Caruso has made some highlight reel plays this season, including the monster dunk against the Mavericks, which has officially received the LA treatment, which means Caruso gets his very own mural.
Listen, I like Alex Caruso a lot. This might be the most white privileged thing I've ever seen in my life. NBA guy dunks and gets a mural because of it, because he's a balding white dude.
Legit mural?
It's how he's dunking, though. You have to
somebody went out and painted that. That is real. That's in LA on a building somewhere. True story, Jenna.
He earned it. This guy is phenomenal. I want to see him in a dunk contest this year.
Okay, chill out, man.
Are you serious? You see what he's doing?
Yeah, it's only impressive because he's a bald white dude.
Maybe.
That's the only reason we're wowed by this. He's an active NBA player who's 24 years old. He's supposed to be a great athlete. It's just because he's got the bald spot and he's white that we're like, wow.
Like, where's this coming from?
Good for him.
Where's this coming from?
And by the way, he's good. I like him as a backup point guard.
So should he be in a dunk contest?
No, he shouldn't be.
Are you kidding me right now? You see what he's jumping over, folks? This is real.
You lost your mind.
Time for stories to start your morning, brought to you by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil. Sticking with those Lakers, last night they did beat the Thunder behind LeBron's triple-double. LeBron now the only player in NBA history with a triple-double against every team in the league. Nick, how incredible of an accomplishment is this?
Well, I mean, it shows you the longevity of his greatness and the versatility of his game. This year, deciding, I'll just lead the league in assists. Poor man, my guy Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook had 29 triple-doubles against all 29 teams except for OKC. Played OKC earlier this year. Came one assist shy of becoming the first guy to do it. LeBron said, I'll take that for you. Another thing in my record book. Russell joined this list later this season, I'm sure. But, I mean, just LeBron is playing point guard truly this year and playing it better than anybody in basketball.
This is remarkable as an athlete. You know, as a professional athlete, all you're looking for is, how do I gain another year? How do I recover so I can stay at the top of my game? It's been 17 years, and you're seeing what he's doing. It's amazing. To me, this is LeBron's last hurrah. This hot start that the Lakers have gotten off to is because LeBron understands he's in this moment. This is it. He's seeing what's happening in Golden State, and he's saying, you know what? I'm going to will my team to victory. This is the last year, I believe, LeBron can will his team to victory, and you're seeing it on the defensive side and on the offensive side.
All right, let's stick with the NBA now. Last night, Carmelo Anthony made his debut for the Portland Trailblazers, scoring a pedestrian 10 points while going 4 of 14 from the field. I just give the facts. And then also, give my own opinion about those facts. Hey, Nick, what'd you take away from Melo's performance last night?
There was no realistic way he was going to be great because the year-plus layoff, because of the transition all the way over to Portland. He was a little more active shooting than I expected him to be, but maybe it's because Damian Lillard was out. Carmelo has not evolved as a player, and that's why it didn't work for him in OKC and didn't work for him in Houston. I'm very curious to see 20 games into his career in Portland. Is he accepting of maybe a bench role, scorer off the bench? Is he accepting of being a guy that is going to be a third or fourth option? And when he doesn't have the ball, how much can he help the team? Those are the questions that will determine whether or not this is successful for one of my favorite guys ever, Carmelo Anthony.
This is the best 4 for 14 performance I have ever seen.
I mean,
all of this about Carmelo is great. This guy, for over a year, hasn't done anything at this level. Okay, he's knocking the rust off. For him to come in and show what he's capable of is amazing to me. He can still move, and like I keep saying, all right, I'm saying this day after day after day. You go to any park in America, and you'll see a 50-year-old man or woman still able to get buckets. Carmelo can get buckets, and that's today's NBA.
All right, just 2 years ago, the Philadelphia Eagles danced their way to a Super Bowl win with a team so deep many thought they'd be back year after year. But a new article in The Ringer says that the Eagles' quest for a dynasty has been a disappointment. At 5-5 and looking up at the Cowboys in the NFC East, birds aren't nearly as high as they thought they'd be flying at this point in the season. Nick, do the Eagles have any chance of getting back to their Super Bowl greatness?
No.
No.
Listen. They can make the playoffs because they're in the NFC East, and I actually think they will. I think they've got they're after this weekend's game against Seattle, which is a tough one. They have Miami. They have 2 against the Giants. They have 1 against Washington. Their only game against a good team is against the Dallas Cowboys, and division probably comes down to that game. That game's in Philly, and they can win that football game.
It's tough in Philly.
But the Eagles, myself included, overrated them going into this year. I looked at the depth instead of looking at the top of the roster. So I said they can sustain injuries. They can deal with the inevitable injuries that are going to hit NFL teams better than most teams. But what I didn't look at nearly as well as I should have is, when at full strength, how good are they actually? I overrated what Carson Wentz would be this year. I overrated the receiving core, especially once they lose Deshaun Jackson. They don't have enough speed. And they never addressed even their weakness during the Super Bowl year, that's secondary. And for all those reasons, they've been an up-and-down team. And so are they a Super Bowl contender? No. And I also never looked at them as a potential dynasty. The Seattle Seahawks were a potential dynasty. They won a Super Bowl. They should have won the following year. And had they won that, they probably wouldn't have had a lot of the drama that then hurt them early in year 3, which prevented them from going on a deep playoff run that year. But the Seahawks are proving it by almost a decade later still being right there. They're 8-2 this season. They had sustained success, greatness at quarterback, greatness as far as player acquisition via the GM and John Schneider. The Eagles have not shown me that. And maybe most importantly, in order for them to be a dynasty or a Super Bowl contender, they need far better quarterback play than they've gotten from Carson Wentz so far this season.
Nick, our relationship started back at the Houston Super Bowl.
Yep.
And being able to work with you over that weekend and throughout that week, it was phenomenal. I couldn't understand, like, how does this guy know so much about all sports? Like, I'm like, wow, this guy is amazing. It's why I'm so disappointed in you and how you thought the Eagles were so good. Like, why are we having this discussion right now? Like, the Eagles were never going to be this dynasty. The Eagles were never going to be good, right? To me, this is what the Eagles are. Every year we have an NFL team that gets hot, okay? November, December, and they go on this magical
out of nowhere.
Run. Out of nowhere. You go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers when they were like 7-5, right?
And
they
all
went
of a sudden,
yep. Right? That's the Eagles. They have Carson Wentz. He's probably going to be the MVP a couple years ago. Tears his ACL up in L.A., right? Mm-hmm. And then Nick Foles come in. Do we remember where Nick Foles was when he turned into a career backup that literally was about to retire that offseason? He comes in and does what he do, right? That was amazing. But that's not something that you say, you know what, let's hang our hat on that. The Eagles, yeah, who we have, we're going to be a dynasty. We're going to be this team that are the Patriots. It's the Green Bay Packers. It's Seattle Seahawks. They were never that to me. So I don't understand this conversation. They are a tough team. They're in a tough division. It's always been brutal. But I don't see them being a contender.
Listen, when they were their best, aside from the magical 2.5 games from Nick Foles, it was when they had MVP-level play from their quarterback. Like, the reason they had the #1 seed that year was because Wentz was, for 13 games that season, the best player in football. That Carson Wentz has not come back yet. Now, I don't know if it ever will. I thought it would. I didn't think he'd be MVP this year, but I thought he would. I thought the statistical profile we're seeing from Dak this season, we would see from Wentz. I thought going into this year, Wentz was clearly the better quarterback of the two, and that just hasn't been the case. And so then, how good is the team really if you have, right now, average level quarterback play, you don't have speed at the receiver position, that whatever buttons Doug Peterson's trying to push, whether it's guaranteeing a win, whether it's giving the guys the day off from practice, those have not been
You didn't even
clicking.
mention their secondary.
Right, and this issues at the secondary, that was an issue even the year they won the Super Bowl. And so the Eagles didn't have, I now can say this with the benefit of hindsight, and by the way, they still might win the division. I actually think they will win the division.
Yep.
But they didn't have enough top flight talent. And if you don't have enough A-level players, the only way to overcome that in this league is having a superstar quarterback. The Seahawks don't have a ton of A-level players, but they have a superstar quarterback. The Niners got a bunch of A-level players that they can overcome what I would call mediocre quarterback play. The Eagles have a bunch of good, not great players, and their quarterback has not been enough to elevate them this season.
Here's the problem with the Eagles this year, right? And so crushing them a little bit, but also we got to talk about the reality of the NFL, right? It's inevitable that players are going to get hurt. You open up the season, look what they were able to do when they had Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, and Aguilar all together. They were looking good, right? This was going to work out. And then also the defensive line, that front seven. Wow, are they going to be amazing on paper, right? They were going to get better.
Right.
But where have they been? That's been an issue with the Eagles, is health, and also that front seven not being the front seven that we've seen over the past 4 or 5 years.
And something that we don't talk about a lot, maybe this team misses Frank Reich more than we thought they do. Look what he's done in Indianapolis
I think it's
right now.
a brilliant point, Jenna. I think Frank Reich is what he's doing in Indy, what he did in Indy last season, and what you saw the drop-off. Doug Peterson deservedly got a lot of the credit.
Yeah.
And Frank Reich, the second choice for the Colts after McDaniel scorned him, he might have been a bigger component to that than anyone gave him credit, as he's proven week in, week out with Jacoby Brissett and the Colts.
There's some talk there, but I love Coach Groh there. Coach Groh is a guy that's filling in the gap, and he's actually doing a phenomenal job. So there's an argument there, but Coach Groh, I believe, can be that guy.
All right, we're going to take a break. Coming up, should a team sign Antonio